The New York Mets failed last night to secure an important win against the Arizona Diamondbacks as Juan Soto not only hits his first, but his second home run at Citi Field. The New York Mets are going to be traveling to St. Louis for an important 3-game series as the National League East tightens up. We'll break down that and a whole lot more next on Metcast. What's going on, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of Metcast. I am Ray, and yes, I am pissed that we lost yesterday's game, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. It was great to see Juan Soto finally hit one out to left center yesterday, not only once, but twice, and that's how you know he is coming around. Pitchers are finally starting to pitch to him, especially with Pete Alonso behind him. Yes, he is still getting a ton of walks, although they are nice, but Juan Soto was not brought on to the New York Mets to hit in the 2-hole to walk a lot. So as he heats up, hopefully Lindor and Alonso can keep it going, and we need that breakout player in the 4-hole, whether it's going to be Brandon Nimmo or Mark Vientos, maybe it's Jesse Winker or Starling Marte. Somebody else needs to get hot in that lineup. The starting pitching has carried us through the beginning part of this season, but as we've seen yesterday, Sanga's not able to go long. Canning was only able to go 5. I wish he would have gone out there for a 6 the other night. I don't understand why he was pulled so early, but that's where we're at as the National League East tightens up. So here we have it, Mets fans. The Mets lead in division is down to a measly 3.5 games over the Phillies as they continue to charge forward. They got that awesome walk-off win against Washington the other night. After Washington took a lead, a 1-run lead in the 9th, the Phillies came back to defeat them. Obviously, we all know what's going on with the Braves, as look at their record, their last 10, 7-3. The Mets are 6-4. The Phillies are 4-6, and the Mets still can't capitalize as of late. You're starting to see this division kind of mold into form as we're watching Washington and Miami both start to lose a little more consistently, but it's the Braves, man. 14-16, 6 games out. Don't forget, they started out 0-10, which means they're 14-6 over their last 20 games. They're the team that I would look out for as the Mets go ahead. Let's be honest now. You have 3 games against a St. Louis Cardinals team that should be very winnable. Starting tonight at 8:15, you have the 2:15 game tomorrow and the 2:15 game on Sunday, and then it gets a little difficult from there. You're going to be going back out to Arizona for 3 in Arizona. Then you have the Cubs, who have been surging in the Central. They've been playing great ball this season. You have the Lonely Pirates for 3. Who knows if you're facing Paul Skeens or not. And then you're in the Bronx facing the New York Yankees for 3, the Red Sox for 3. You're home against the Dodgers and then the White Sox. So that's the stretch that you're really looking at right there. Between maybe not right now with the Cardinals, who for me it is a must win for the New York Mets. They have to take 2 out of 3 here because you're facing a pretty good Arizona team, a good Cubs team, a bad Pirates team. But if we're looking in the next 5 series, Arizona, Chicago, the Yankees, Red Sox, and Dodgers, all probably going to be playoff teams this year. The New York Mets must, and when I say must, they must capitalize against these bad teams. The Cardinals and the Pirates, there is zero excuse not to take 2 out of every 3 in those series starting tonight, because the New York Mets now lost that series to Arizona. You don't want to start a downward streak here. Juan Soto seems like he's finally starting to be heating up, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Is this series. They have to take 2 out of 3 this weekend. And now we have this breaking news over from Mike Mayer at Mets Mirai. Sources confirm that pitching prospect Blade Tidwell will be joining the New York Mets this weekend while in St. Louis. And that is exciting if you are a Mets fan. Blade Tidwell, who we all saw in the spring, and if you're a diehard Mets fan like I am, you've been monitoring his career over the last couple of years. He throws 96, 97. He's got a wiffle ball at times, but he, like a lot of prospects, has struggled with the walks. But here we have it. down in AAA. He's got a 5 ERA, but 37 strikeouts in 27 innings this year down in AAA. And if you're a Mets fan, you've got to be excited. We've been waiting for this guy for a while, and I know the 5 ERA people are going to say, wow, but that came primarily from the beginning of the season. He has been pretty damn good for the Mets down in AAA. I'm excited. He is a guy that I could see being a boom or bust prospect. Maybe he comes up, maybe he starts. He's probably going to be coming out of the pen. I don't know, and I don't see him starting, although I know the Mets are going to need a starter, so it's going to be interesting to see what more comes about that over the next couple of hours, whether or not the New York Mets are planning to use him out of the bullpen or are they going to put him in the starting rotation. I would prefer to see him as a starter. We need somebody to come in and eat innings. Too many times we are seeing New York Mets pitchers only going 5 innings, Senga only going 4 innings, Canning going 5 innings. Somebody's got to go 6, 7 innings. The New York Mets have been relying on this bullpen way too much earlier in the year. And check it out. We said it in the preseason or spring training. Hey, Oscar Brazaban's been great for the New York Mets. Max Kranick's been great, but they have been pitching an absolute ton. And as we've seen in the past, Brazaban and Kranick have both pitched multiple innings most of the time when they're there pitching on the Major League mound. Now I want to get to one segment that I've been wanting to get to for a while. The guys over at the Mets Pod talk about Brandon Nimmo and his start to the season, as I think it's very concerning. Outside of that major game he's had, he's been struggling. Let's give it a look.
Nimmo right now, it's a really tough evaluation because we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks on the show. His approach has left a lot to be desired, right? Like much more aggressive in counts. And it turns out that was a message that the Mets actually wanted him to become a little more aggressive. And I would like to see that scaled back.
I don't like that at all. Who came up with that plan for Brandon Nimmo? And Brandon Nimmo, his most successful years, he's got an on-base percentage, 370, 380, walking a ton, taking a ton of pitches and battling. I'd rather have that Brandon Nimmo than the strikeout once every 3 at-bats Brandon Nimmo.
Just a little bit. Right. But if you look under the hood, so this is the old balance of the eye test, because I watch the Mets every day. I watch Brandon Nimmo's at-bats, and I don't particularly like them, other than yesterday where everything was, roses and everything was great. But then you balance it with some of the under the hood numbers. So he has an expected batting average of 266. So theoretically,
which would be fine,
which would be perfectly fine. He's in the 88th percentile in average exit velocity among all players. He's in the 97th percentile in hard hit percentage. His walk percentage is down significantly. I mean, we're talking more than half of what a normal Brandon Nimmo season would be. And his strikeout percentage is down like 6% from last year. So he's simply putting the ball in play more than he has historically. And his 212, I know you love BABIP, Connor, his batting average on balls in play. So if you combine
big BABIP guy.
Yeah, if you combine his BABIP with the hard hit rate, it's implying that he's largely putting the ball in play, hitting it hard, just hitting it at people.
At the end of the day, it's are you getting on base or are you not? And he's simply not. And now you could take the other perspective too. Juan Soto's had that a lot throughout this year. I mean, how many times are we going to see a ball hit well over 105 miles an hour this season and it be an out? That's been the story of the year for Juan Soto so far. I remember the other night we're live and I'm like, his first hit right at the right fielder, 112.5 miles an hour. Sometimes you got to hit them where they ain't, and that's part of being hot and cold. That's something that Keith Hernandez also stresses a ton. When you're hot, you're hot. They just seem to drop. Bloopers seem to drop. It seems like the outfielders are just a step or two away from catching your ball, and when you're not, the bloopers don't fall in. It looks like weak contact, and you hit a lot of lasers at the outfielders. But that's all I had for you today. If you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit that like button. Maybe consider subscribing. We'll be bringing a lot of Mets content coming to you guys in the near future, maybe doing a couple of lives during the games and the post games. Make sure you turn on those notifications so you never miss when we go live. Thanks so much for sticking around. And as always, let's go Mets. Peace.